What's going on, everybody? How's everybody doing? Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. What is going on, everybody? Hello, hello, hello. All right. So the question of the day was, what house are you in? Because I want to see who's here early, who's here on time. What's going on, messages? I'm doing good. All right, got a lot of Turin, got a lot of Hopper. Oh, we got some Hamilton too. All right, I see everybody here. Question of the day is, what was the reason? I hope y'all watched the video, because a big portion of the slides won't make sense if you haven't seen that video before. I see that image, I see that GIF, and I just hear it in my brain. What up, Sheena? Thank you for the bits. Hello, Dev family. What's up, Jersey Boss Baby? Thank you for the 4 months. Got a couple folks in here before I got in. And different ghosts. Hey, thank you. What? I didn't even know that was a thing. Indifferent gifted a 6-month tier 1 sub to Diabolical. That's wild. I didn't even know that was I didn't know you could gift multiple months. That's wild. Thank you so much for the support. We had some other folks get in here too. Accordionette, thank you for the 4 months. Diabolical with the raid. What's going on, everybody? There's one other. Oh, JV2. That was happened. They happened over while we were on it live yesterday. What's going on, everybody? Glad you're all here. Got some fun topics tonight. We're gonna start diving into OOP this evening. We're gonna cover 2 of the big kind of 4 concepts in OOP: encapsulation and abstraction. It's one of those topics that just gets people riled up, and so we're gonna get into it. We're gonna make sure that it makes sense. Ooh, look at this. This is a hype train already. Hype train already. Watch out. Kev video. Oh, sorry. Kev, thank you for the 3 months. Let's go. Orasi with the 100 bits. Thank you. Pi with the 300 bits. Sheenan with the 100 bits. Thank you so much for being here, everybody. Full stack opens been kicking your butt. Yeah, it's tough. Nervous you won't be able to contribute? Don't worry. That's what we're here for. Hope everything's going good for me. My back hurts. It's going well. Indifferent. I've been working all day on undocumented node features. Oh no. Well, glad you're here. Maybe we can take your mind off of it for a bit. Old coder chick, thank you for the 200 bits. Welcome everybody. I was a little confused with the Cardi B video. Don't worry. I'm gonna make that make sense tonight. Tonight you will understand that video and why it's so important for when it comes to OOP. I guarantee you this video is more, that Cardi B video is like worth more to you than like reading a whole book on this stuff. We're gonna get there. So tonight is tonight's gonna be fun. We're really not touching too much code this evening. One kind of thing where we're touching code like live on stream. And tonight we're gonna test our first time breaking off into live groups and doing work. So stream will definitely be shorter. We're gonna try and cover 2 of those big 4 topics. We're gonna come back next week, finish up the last 2, and really start building OOP or object-oriented code. But this is gonna be our first time getting in groups and working through some code together and starting to practice being on team. So don't fear. See fear, damn. Ooh, no, it's gonna be fun. Trust me. The platform we're gonna use, we use RC. It's a lot of fun. It's a platform called Remo. It's dumb expensive. It's like dumb expensive, but it's really great because it can support everyone that's here now can join us on Remo during class time. It drops you into tables where you can have, if you have video and if you have your mic, you can kind of talk and interact with folks. There's whiteboards, there's chats, there's everything. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm excited because I have admin, so I can like jump around to all the tables and actually see all of you like in face-to-face, like real, like I think that'd be really cool. So I'm excited. Counterspace, you used a free trial and loved it. Yeah, it's wild. It's pretty cool. All right, folks. Bog, thank you. I'm doing good. Today's a good day. I had a lot of fun. Yeah, it's no joke indifferent. It's no joke. But we get to use it. Hey, what's up? I got all the good stuff for you, folks. I got all the good stuff for you. It's a very expensive platform, but we get to use it, and so it's gonna be a lot of fun. Yeah, the stuff that we use here, like Icebreaker and now Remo, they really took advantage of the pandemic. I'll say that they really took advantage. They exploded and they charged the premium for it. But hey, they're great. They get us to get interacting and talking to each other. So I'm excited. It's been a while since I've seen some of y'all face to face. Every once in a while I see you on the Discord, things like that. But our one-on-one sessions on Mondays. But it'd be nice to get to know everyone. I'm nervous. Don't be nervous. Don't be nervous. This is part of it, right? Getting comfortable working with other developers is a huge thing. It's probably one of the most important things you'll do out the gate to get you ready for a job. And so we're going to work up to it. We're going to build into it, right? We're going to build into it. And it's just with all of our friends here. We're friends. We've been hanging out for a long time now. So don't be fearful. Don't worry about it. Things are going to go well. We're going to have a good time, and we're going to start coding together more and more. Cool. Alrighty, folks. Let's. I want to kind of jump into it and just get right into the meat of it. And I'm going to go over to Little Leon. I'm glad you're all here. I'm excited to go into object-oriented code with y'all to kind of demystify some really important topics. Like really important topics that are going to help us think like developers, build code like developers. And so I'm excited you're all here. Let's get into it. Alrighty. I'm gonna chill the music here. How was the music today? Was it working? Like, wasn't choppy or anything? Did it work? It was good. No chops. All right. Whew. All right. I tested it a bunch, but you never know until it happens. Alrighty. So tonight we're going into object-oriented programming, and this topic to me is one of the most mind-boggling topics, not because it's necessarily hard. It's just that nobody ever really takes the time to explain why it's like actually important. Like, you'll get definitions, you'll get like examples, but at the end of the day, I'm just always asking myself, like, why? And I've read all the books, I've watched all the videos, and it always still just escaped me. Like, I wrote JavaScript professionally for a while, just doing it and going through the motions without really understanding like why. And so tonight's all about like why and what we get from it, and some examples here and there. But that's what tonight's about. So I just want to cover a brief few things, and then we're going to jump into the why. We're going to spend some time really kind of just talking through. I really want this to be like a conversation tonight, because I think the conversation is way more important than me just throwing some code up and just nerding through some code. There's tons of resources out there. I've given you some of those resources for homework, and I think you could get through those resources. I think you could get through those videos. I think you could get through those books, and at the end still be in the same place as when you started. You might have seen some code examples, but you don't really understand why. And so I really put some time into these slides and some of these examples to hopefully like make it make sense, because it's just a topic that just doesn't make sense to me a lot. And so I hope it makes sense to you, and we're going to get into that. Cool. Hitston, hey, thank you for the 3 months. Thank you for being here. Appreciate that. What's up with the Cardi B video? We're gonna get to there. We're gonna get to the Cardi B video and why it was important. I promise you it was important. I didn't know if I could get like a way. Like I had the sound queued up like on Streamlabs, but I didn't want the VOD to get taken down. Like, what if like Cardi B? Like, I don't know. I was just worried. And so I didn't clip in the sound, but I wanted you all to watch it and hear that sound so that when you see the image, you hear her voice. All right, so tonight we're talking about objects. We're just going to get some quick object review in, things that we've already seen. Then we're going to spend a deep dive kind of talking about object-oriented programming, why it's beneficial, why it can help us. We're going to spend a good portion of time talking about two of the big four when it comes to OOP, which is encapsulation and abstraction. And then we're going to work in teams, and we're going to do the quintessential bootcamp rite of passage, and that's tic-tac-toe. We're going to do tic-tac-toe together in teams of 6. Yes, teams of 6. You're going to talk through it. You're going to work through it. You're going to struggle together. You're going to succeed together. You're going to have fun doing it. So tonight, we're going to get through some important topics. I want the conversation to start here on Twitch, and we'll carry that conversation all the way over to our platform for class where we can actually like see and interact with each other. Cool. And then your homework is to do some more than nerding out. We're going to introduce concepts. It is imperative, 100% imperative that you get through the reading that I provide to you this weekend, because it's really important when we come back on Tuesday that you've already like spent time digesting those concepts so we can start like latching onto like real code. Tonight's more examples and theoretical. Tuesday's like real code. And so I need you to kind of digest tonight and then make sure you get through the reading so that on Tuesday we're ready to rock and roll. We can do code example after code example. We can get typing after typing. And so make sure that you're kind of getting into it. Are we being bootcamp hazed? No hazing at 100 devs yet. All right. Questions. I always like to open up with some questions. If there's questions while we're here, let's do it. We'll take maybe 2 or 3 questions, and then we're going to get right into the thick of it. So those aren't what? Kabishi, thank you for the 10 gifted subs. What? Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for being here. Let's go. If you just got an emote from Kabishi, can you put that emote in chat, please? That's wild. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you for being here. I've been blessed. Nice. There we go. All right. Thank you so much. Questions. How do I join the Code Wars clan? If you do ! Code Wars, I believe that is the link. There's one that's blog. Oh, sorry, it's ! Clan. It's ! Clan. So ! CLAN will give you the information you need to join the 100 Devs Code Wars clan. And tomorrow night we are going to do the ceremony of VIP giving to the folks that have been at the top of the list. So tomorrow morning I'll take a snapshot of where everyone's at. And during our stream tomorrow, we'll do the moving and the VIPing and all that fun stuff. Do we have a spot to submit our Pokemon API homework? Not yet. After stream, I'll open that up for you. It'll just be a GitHub repo where you'll put the API work. Yeah. Sorry, I think I forgot to include that in the materials today. What will happen to those that do not have mic or webcam? Will class be over early for those, or will something happen for them? You should still join us on Remo. On Remo, the platform where we'll be doing kind of this working together in teams, there's actually a chat at each table. There's a chat and a whiteboard. So if you do not have mic or cam access, that is totally fine. You can still contribute 100% in chat, and you can also help explain ideas through the whiteboard as well. So if you don't have mic or cam, don't worry. I have a lot of folks that have used the platform before and just through chat have had a good experience. Yeah. I didn't wash my face today. All right. Yeah, and Remo works really well with phones. So if you have a mobile phone, that works really well for like a cam if you have that. Remo actually is pretty stable with like slower internet too. I think it'll be a pretty good platform for us to use, and I think it should be accessible to most folks. I'm hoping everyone. If for some reason it doesn't work for you, just let me know on Discord. I'll be kind of troubleshooting there. Also on Remo, I can present and everything, so we'll be continuing to like, I'll be able to present to everyone and get people situated and stuff like that here. But we'll talk more about that when we get to the end of tonight's class. Happy to, Memphis. Happy to. All right. Gonna have to pull another all-nighter to catch Wolfie. Hey, Yash, go for it. I was so if you don't know what we're talking about, in the Code Wars clan, there's a battle for the top going on, and people are putting up reps. Yeah, it's wild to see how much time folks have been grinding out these Code Wars, improving their code, getting better at it, and the solutions are getting better too. Like I've been looking at everybody's solutions and seeing, oh wow, it's impressive. Yeah. Cool. I'm trying to output multiple arrays from the Pokemon's API. How can I do that? So I'm not sure if they return multiple mons at the same time, but if they do, it would just kind of be parsing the JSON to get the data. So I think we saw on stream that we can ask for more than one, or like get data about multiple stuff. Otherwise, you're gonna have to do the nesting or finish up some of the reading on the async await stuff. Are we working in groups using a virtual classroom? Yes. It's a virtual classroom. It has everything that we need. I have the ability to present. It has whiteboards. It has video. It has audio. It has chat. It has all the stuff that we need to work together in teams. And I can like randomize tables and a bunch of fun stuff. So we're gonna get there. I'm really excited. Alrighty. Who's gonna carry the dang boats and the logs? Let's go, Miss Turner. Glad you're all here. All right, let's get into it. That's good questions. Trofasaro, you're in it. Welcome. Hope you're having a good time. OOP is one of those things where I just bang my head against the keyboard. When I was first kind of like trying to get it, I felt like I watched like 20 videos. I read like 3 books, and I was just at the end. I was just like, what the fuck did I just read? Like that makes absolutely no sense. And so it's one of the things I remember like viscerally about my learning the code journey is that I was very good at like the logic. Like the logic always made sense to me. I could procedurally write out all my code and I could get shit to work. Like it would work. It would be good, right? But when it came time to some of these like larger patterns, I just felt like nobody ever like told me why I had to do this stuff or explained it in like a way that made sense to me. And so I just remember being like not that I was going to give up, just I just felt like I wasn't going to get to the level I wanted to be at, right? And so that was part of like my trough of sorrow journey was like the concepts we're going to start talking about tonight was how can I make these make sense? How can I start applying them to my actual code? And how can I come out the other end? Because I know all the really good engineers use these principles when they need to. Clicked. You can always ask questions. Throw them in there. So if I can't get to them, I'll try to get to them. But yeah, always feel free to ask questions. But yeah, so you're in the trough of sorrow. Take a deep breath. We're gonna get through it. We're gonna keep kind of we're having classes where we're trying to break down some of these more complicated concepts. We're gonna have more sessions where we have more time spent like in the muck of code, more time where we're working together so you have multiple perspectives on how to get through the code. We're adding extra days for review, and we're gonna be spending our office hours actually diving deeper. So we're in it. We got like a couple big heavy hitting topics left. kind of like what's left is like the details underneath JavaScript and the details that help us like organize our JavaScript. So OOP is going to help us organize our JavaScript. And then we got to learn some other stuff that are like the big things like closures and promises and stuff that we've actually already used, but just putting names on it. Right. And so don't worry if tonight is hard. I am telling you that literally this was one of the hardest things for me, and we're going to get through it. We're going to get lots of practice on the books, and we will continue to push through the trough of sorrow. I'm asking that you do the reading this weekend, and I'm asking that you do your code wars. The more reps you put in on your code wars, the quicker we're going to get through this trough together. I'm learning Java in the fall semester here, and they want us to do OOP with it. Is Java something you can do OOP with? Yeah, absolutely. In fact, Java is probably the like if you're reading like the textbooks are typically using, that one isn't, but typically using things like Java and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a good thing to learn. We're writing JavaScript tonight, just to be careful that we're not using Java, we're using JavaScript. But a lot of the things that we're going to talk about tonight, because tonight's really not about the code, it's about the concepts, right? So the concepts will carry over to your class in the semester. Cool. You down with OP? Yeah, you know me. I've tried really hard to not throw that in here tonight. All right. No networking until March. We won't actually, like next week is like when March starts, but we're not starting next week. We're starting the following week. So no networking next week. We start the week after. Client deadline is supposed to be March 2nd, which is coming up very soon, which means that if you haven't gotten a client yet, you should really consider spending some time this weekend working on some of these client alternatives, reaching out to a grassroots organization to volunteer, or joining first timers only. You know how to use Git. You know how to use GitHub. You know how to write JavaScript. I checked it out this morning. Heck, let's do it live. First timers only. Boom. Upforgrabs.net. Boom. JavaScript. Boom. Look at all these wonderful projects that are written in JavaScript that would love to have you contribute. Ooh. Let's go back. Good first issues for first-time contributors. Ooh. Programming language. JavaScript. 400 first-time issues to projects you've probably heard of that are good first issues for you. Ooh. So, if you're at that stage yet where you're able to get the client, spend some time this weekend. Maybe volunteer for a grassroots organization. Spend some time this weekend if you're able to check out first timers only and find free and open source projects that you can contribute to right now. Folks, I'm going to say it over and over and over and over again. The code is not enough. In fact, it's a tiny piece. It's a sliver of what's going to get you a job. The code, stay with me. I want everybody, hold on. Say it with me. The code is not enough. You didn't say it loud enough. Come on. The code is not enough. All right. Thank you. The code's not enough. These other things that I'm asking you to do are the things that are going to get you a job. The client gives you real world experience to talk about. If you don't have the privilege of getting a client, right, there are many circumstances that would preclude you from being able to get a client. You have other things you may be able to do. Contributing to a grassroots organization, contributing to free and open source software gives you the same real world experience to talk about when it comes to your interviews, right? I spent a lot of time, past couple days looking at all of the incoming jobs data. And one of the big trends is that kind of like entry level positions as a whole, not just in tech, but as a whole, are down. Due to the pandemic, like entry level jobs are down. The only sector where we saw like actual entry level options were in tech, right? Were in tech. But one of the things they mentioned is that folks realizing this, right? Folks coming out of university, folks that are trying to get into entry-level roles, they're seeing that, wait a minute, there's not a lot of opportunity here except in these like very well-defined verticals. So you have a lot of folks that are trying to get into tech or trying to get into these newer roles, but they're not prepared for them. So they're not ready, and they're just fodder going into this machine. And the reason why they're not ready is because they're not going to do the things that you're going to do. They're not going to have a good understanding of the basics of JavaScript, Node, and React. They're not going to have a well-crafted portfolio. They're not going to have a project that they sunk 100 hours into. They're not going to have a client. They're not going to have open source contributions. They're not going to have volunteer grassroots organizations, but all of you will. And that's what's going to get you the job. Nerding out about OOP, not getting you a job. I don't care how well you know OOP. Yeah, it's a nice thing. It's not getting you a job. Right? So please take this part seriously. Open it up. There's a whole guide on how to do it. There's a whole guide on how to contribute to open source for the first time. And I think one of our bonus classes are going to be doing it together. I would love for us to find like a project and contribute some code live and go through the whole process of contributing to open source. So yes, this is it. This is the work, folks. This is the thing that's real, that's going to make the difference. If you're here, you should be doing this stuff. And I got a surprise next week. Next week is bonkers. I can't wait for next week. Next week is probably going to be my favorite week of program so far, because we got a lot of stuff to do. Tomorrow we are doing our crafting your story class tomorrow, and the big thing we're also doing tomorrow is the professional checklist. So I'm giving out a professional checklist that has everything that you need to be hitting to make sure that your accounts start marinating, to make sure that all your ducks in a row, so that as we get into the last third of program, like once we get past full stack stuff, you're ready to start applying. That kind of work starts now. It takes a while to get stuff together. I'm going to be reading bazillions of resumes. I'm going to be reading bazillions of cover letters and all that stuff. So we start with that stuff now, and I'll be giving you a professional checklist tomorrow during our crafting the story class. All right. Office hours, remember, have moved from Saturday to Sunday. We are trying Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern time as our office hours. So no Saturday. So we'll have our class tomorrow, no Saturday, Sunday. Best week ever, part 2. I hope so. It's my favorite thing that I've ever worked on for 100 devs. And I think you're going to really like it. I think you're going to get a lot of value out of it. I think it's going to be really exciting. So I won't be dying from a hangover during office hours. Let's go. Had to drop my client this week because she definitely wanted me to do something illegal and throw me under the bus for it. That happens. I can't tell you the number of folks that get like check fraud scams for their first, like as like one of the first couple people that are talking to them for their clients. So be careful out there. Yeah. Leon, with the tips and stuff you gave, I helped fix up my boyfriend's resume and practice interviewing and stuff. He's already talked to like 3 recruiters, non-tech roles, but still didn't get any callbacks before, but now they are. Let's go. See stuff. This stuff works. It works. If you do it, it works. It's not automagical, but it works. It works. All right. Let's jump into it. We're going to do the review first. Are these videos on YouTube? Yes, they will all be on YouTube. We're going to do some review first. Things that we've already seen, things that we've already done, just to get that rep in. Like I said, we got it. In under 30 minutes, we got started. That's the goal. The goal is like, I want to get like into it in under 20 minutes, but we're like we hit 30. We're good. All right. She wanted to sell some banned hair products. What? That's so wild. The code is not enough. Exactly. All right. We're going to get into objects. We're going to do the review. We're going to see some things that we've already seen, and then we're going to jump into the meat and potatoes of the evening. So let's get into it. Let's review the things that we feel comfortable with, and then jump into the meat and potatoes. All right. We're going to talk about objects tonight, and we're going to layer on top of that object-oriented programming. When it comes to OOP and most things in coding in general, I really like to follow a pattern that's use, understand, and then build, which is weird because a lot of folks are used to like trying to understand something before they use it. But I find often with folks that I'm helping along their coding journey that if they just start like using the things that like that syntactically makes sense to them, like, all right, well, I know what an object is, and I start like playing with it, like playing with stuff kind of enables you to like see what you're talking about. It gets you out of like this theoretical land and gets you like into like the muck of it. And so I find if you use it first and then you spend more time understanding and then you try just like building practical stuff with it, this is the best thing. Rezo, thank you for the hydration. Cheers to you. Thank you for the hydration. Yeah, Shells, I like that. It's like touching the fire for the first time and then realizing it is hot. Exactly. I always hate to like throw this fact out here, but it's a true fact. And it's one of the more interesting things about adult learning theory. I think we've mentioned this before. But there's like one very consistent things about how adults learn, and adults learn best through trauma. Like when there's trauma, you learn. And it goes all the way back to like that very primal, you touch hot fire, you realize that you get burned and you never touch fire again. So when you read like adult learning theory, it's like this one thing has always been proven to work. And it's like, well, fuck, we don't want to go that route, but we can get close, right? We can get close to it. So we can think about like using our code as like standing over the fire, but not really touching it. And then we'll spend time understanding, and then we'll spend time building. That's why I'm not a programmer. All right. Now, I even put this in the email. We're going to make some nerds angry tonight. We're going to make some nerds angry. Right? Angry tonight. And I get it. This stuff is pretty complicated. There are like very like well opinionated like ways to talk about this. There are very well researched ways to talk about it. There are things that are absolutely probably 100% correct. And when it comes to object-oriented programming, the thing that gets my goat over and over and over again is that people get caught up in like this theoretical bullshit that's like these words that just don't make sense. They just don't make sense. And they're like, Leon, well, it's really... Leon, it's actually, well, encapsulation is actually this one thing in this very rare moment, but, you know, like, no, shut up. Shut up. You're not helping anyone learn. Shut up. Like, these words don't mean anything to me. These words are big. I don't understand them, so I'm going to treat it as disrespect, right? And so I'm trying to leave out all those big words. I am trying to take a route that hopefully gets us to understanding. The definitions we use tonight are not going to be like the actual definitions, because the actual definitions don't make any sense if you've never like actually touched or interact with this stuff before. Right? And so, yeah, give me some creative freedom here to make it make sense for folks that haven't like spent 4 years reading through this book. I read through the book. I have the book. I understand what you're talking about. I know what computing is. Thank you. I've read the silly books. I got them. I read the silly books too. Read this whole thing. I get it. I understand it. I know the language. I know how to use it. I'm not going to use it because big words, I don't understand them, and I'm going to treat it as disrespect. Wait, so you mean arrays aren't actually toasters? Yes. Yeah. And so we're taking some creative liberties tonight, because that video you keep sharing, that blog post you keep sharing, that book you tell everyone to read when they're going through a 4-year CS program, it doesn't make sense. If you've never played with objects before, it doesn't make sense. Encapsulation, abstraction, polymorphism, like, the words just sound scary. We're gonna take some time to try and make it make sense, and over the next week or two, we'll get to the actual fucking definition. But just give us some space. Let us breathe a little bit. Let us try to get our brains wrapped around the larger ideas of why, right? And we'll meet you there. We'll meet you at the book. We'll meet you at that 3-page definition of what abstraction really is, and in what context you use it, and how it's not really hiding data, Leon. We'll get there. We'll get there. But we're taking the long ride there. So I've put warnings on the slides where I think you'll get angry if you already know what this stuff means. So there will be slides that say nerds shaking violently. If this is something that bothers you, and you already know what OOP is, and you already know the nerdy academic definitions, I've put a warning there for you. You can leave. You can close your eyes for that period. You can take out your headphones. We'll be okay. You can join us later on Remo to help folks out learning. All right. So tonight is about trying to understand some really complicated stuff, not trying to like match a definition in like a crusty old textbook. Cool. Let's get that out the way. Objects. All right. We've seen objects before. We've used objects before. We are used to using them. Now we're going to start to understand like what benefit they provide. Okay. Chat. What's an object? What's an object, chat? Tell me. It's already, you don't have to look. I tried to hide the screen by putting my hand in front of it. That's what just happened. I put my hand up thinking that you would no longer be able to see the screen. And then I was Pikachu faced why it wasn't working. Like why me putting my hands in front of the screen wasn't stopping you from seeing the screen. All right. Just wanted you to see what happened there. Omar, thank you for the hydration. Cheers to you. Yes, I love all the answers I'm seeing in chat. Objects are a collection of variables and functions. We all have used variables. We all use functions. An object, if you're thinking about like an object in like meat space in the real world, an object is just made up of attributes and behaviors. If I hold up my mouse is an object. This object is made up of attributes and behaviors. It's made up of variables and functions, right? We call our attributes properties, and we call our behaviors or functions methods when they're tied to an object. So this mouse has a brand property of Logitech. It has a color property of black. It has a a model of MX Ergo, right? We know how to think about objects in like a day-to-day sense, right? Like we all understand like what an object is, and we know that an object has like properties that describe it, and then also things it can do. This can like click, right? This thing can click. Imran, don't worry. I'm glad you're here. Right? You can. Oh, let's make sure I didn't click on something bad. But it can click. We're all used to using objects. We've built objects in this class already. Let's keep that idea going. I just got that mouse. It's an amazing mouse, Reza. I'm glad you got it. All right. Think about a physical object. I'm starting to get used to OOP. Miss you, Leon. Have a good stream. Hey, Never Legend. Thank you for stopping by. And thank you for the 6 months. That's wild. Miss you too. All right. Think of a physical object. Remember, physical objects have like physical properties and physical behaviors, like things it can do. Let's think about a stopwatch. Chat. What are some attributes or properties of this stopwatch? Ooh, I like color. Yes. This stopwatch has a color property of black. It has a shape property of round, let's say. It has a display property of true. Ooh, it has a model of AccuSplit. It has a brand of, or maybe the model's Pro Survivor. We got to look this up. maybe the model is maybe the brand is AccuSplit and the model is Pro Survivor. I think that makes sense. As a user, a PE teacher. Yeah, it has these properties. It has a minutes property. It has a seconds property. It has a milliseconds property. Right? So we have all these properties that can describe this very real object that is a stopwatch. What are the behaviors or the functions or the methods tied to this very real object? I know if you've already put them in chat, put them in again. Yeah, start, stop, split, reset. These are all those behaviors, the functions, the methods that it can do. Right? Nice. Now, an object is just a collection of these properties. And properties are really what? Properties are just what? Properties are just, we have another name that we've used for a very long time. Properties are always going to be what? Variables. Yeah, they're just variables. They're just variables that are tied to this like thing, right? They're variables tied to this thing. And methods are just what? Methods are just what? Yeah. They're just functions tied to this thing, right? We saw that this had a variable of color that was black, and it also had a function that was start, right? Tied to that object. All right. Here I am creating an object. If I look at this very first line, let stopwatch equal open curly braces. All right. How have I created an object here? What is this? Brian's, that's a literal. Yeah. I've literally just created an object. What's another way that I could have created an object? Chat, what's another way I could have created an object? Could have used a constructor, right? A class that has a constructor too, right? Yeah. But here I've literally created an object. And now that I've literally created an object, I added a property to it. What notation did I just use to add a property to this object? Yeah, dot notation. Exactly. We're using dot notation to add a current time property to this stopwatch object. Great. Next here, I'm going to use dot notation to give it a tell time. But tell time in this scenario is what? Tell time is a what? Tell time is a what, chat? Boom. It's a method. Nice. Tell time is a method. Love it. And then down here, what is this right here? Let's it's a little tricky. What's that? What did I just circle? Whoo, Manny out the gate. Yeah, it's a method call. It's a function call, right? Tell time is a method on the stopwatch object. We see the parentheses. That's how we know that it is a call. And in this scenario, stopwatch.current time is being used as a what? I call mom to what? Call mom to what? To argue. Yep, it's an argument. To whine. It's an argument, exactly. All right, so we're using dot notation here. Dot notation enables us to add properties, enables us to add methods. Love it. All right. What if we want to make a lot of objects, right? What if we want to make a lot of objects? What can we use? What can we use if we want to create a lot of objects? A factory, right? The car factory is like the quintessential, like every like you're not really talking about objects until you put cars on the page, right? It's just something that we all might have experienced and used, and so that's why it's so popular. But yeah, we need some sort of factor. We want to create a bunch of cars that we see here, like all these cars. All these cars are pretty much the same. All these cars are pretty much the same, but they might have some slight differences, and so this factory can spit out a bunch of cars for us. Nice. So here is the traditional constructor function, right? This function enables us to create a bunch of car objects. Now, you can see that we know that this is a constructor function because it's capitalized. Remember that the capitalization does nothing. The capitalization does nothing for us. It's just that you and I know, just between me and you, that that's a constructor function, that maybe we're going to be spitting out objects. Okay? And then down here, you can see that we are invoking and making a new, or instantiating a new object here by using this special keyword and the make car constructor function. So from this, we're going to have a car object that comes out, and this car object will be stored in Honda Civic. Cool. We pass in Honda. Honda goes in the car make. So any object now, so Honda Civic now has a make property, and that make property is Honda. Then we pass in Civic, so wherever I see car model, it's actually Civic. And now Honda Civic will have a model property, and that model property will be Civic. Coil Twitchbot, hey, thank you for the 100 bits. Thanks for stopping by. Cool. Does the order of arguments matter? Yes, Fendi, it does. Because the order in which I place them is the order in which they're going to go into the buckets, the parameters that are going to hold those values. All right. So if you mix these up, like let's say we swapped it and we made let's say we put silver first. Well, then the car make will be silver, the car model would be Honda, and the car color would be Civic, right? So it's the order in which they are going into the constructor function. Cool. Nice. Now, we have four what here? Four of what, chat? Four of what? Nice. We're setting 4 properties here. Nice. Setting 4 properties. And we're setting 2 what? 2 methods. Nice. So every car that is made from this constructor can have 4 properties. A honk method that says beep beep fucker. And then this dot lock, which will tell you how many doors are locked. But here's something really interesting. Why do we say this dot doors here? Why do we say this dot doors here? We got some good answers in chat here. Yeah. Are we talking about doors on anything? Or are we talking about doors on the object that we just created? Right? Talking about any door or the doors on the object that we're referencing? Yeah. We're talking about this object. We're talking about the doors on this object. Right? Self-awareness. I like it. The doors on this object. Right? So doors could actually have been like a variable somewhere else, right? But in this case, we're saying, you know what, we want the doors on this object. All right. Cool. Alrighty. Now, something interesting, all right? We learned about this other thing. And we learned that, let's say we had created a bunch of cars using that constructor function. And all the cars were out in the road. 2 million plus cars were out in the road, right? 2 million plus cars are out in the road, and we go, snap. They don't have Bluetooth. We forgot to give all the cars that were out on the road, right? We forgot to give all the cars on the road Bluetooth. So if we were like a traditional car manufacturer, what would have to happen to all the cars? What would have to happen to all the cars? A recall. All the cars would have to come back into the manufacturer, back into the shop, fix it so that each car had Bluetooth. What a massive amount of time and energy that would take to make all these millions of cars that are out on the road now have Bluetooth. Well, the lucky thing is that when we're building objects in JavaScript, we have something that enables us to not need to do a recall, and that is called the prototype. The prototype is just another object that is a backup source of properties and methods. So if the car we created did not have Bluetooth, that car could check its prototype, which is just another object, and say, hey, do you have Bluetooth? And since that prototype or that other object had Bluetooth, well, then the car we just created has Bluetooth, right? Now, anybody that's read ahead, this is kind of an example of what? If we're talking about OOP, this could be kind of the start of what? Yeah, cross. Exactly, Marcos. It can be the start of inheritance, right? Now, like I said, we're going to get some nerds angry tonight, but this is where it can start, right? It can start here with this idea of, wait a minute, I can get values from somewhere else. I can maybe have classes that use other classes, objects that use other objects. Cool. So we're not going to talk about inheritance tonight, but this is kind of where it might start for us when it comes to class on Tuesday. All right. Debacle. Prototypal inheritance isn't classical inheritance. Exactly. Let's make these nerds angry tonight. All right. We kind of talked about how, like, if we use doors.toString, right? If we use these doors.toString, there's no toString method in this constructor. There's no toString method in this constructor. So how are we able to use toString here? Doors.toString. Chat, how are we able to use toString if there's no toString method in that constructor we just saw? The prototype has it, right? So the object, the Roadster checked itself. The Tesla Roadster did not have access to toString. Then it went up the prototype and said, hey, constructor function prototype, do you, like, make car, do you have toString? And it's like, nah, son, I don't have it, right? And then it went up the chain, and maybe it found its way to something like the global object prototype, which is just another object that's like a fallback source of properties and methods. And that object definitely has toString. So since that object has toString, our Roadster has toString, and we're able to use this code. I just love that, like, new folks are just, why does everyone keep saying grandma? I don't understand. Why is grandma so important here? Well, the example we've used before is that, let's say I don't have a car. If I don't have a car, I can ask my prototype, which is my mother, and say, yo, ma, do you have a car? And if my mom doesn't have a car, then she can ask her mother, my grandmother, and say, hey, grandma, do you have a car? And since grandma has a car, your boy's got a car. Because grandma's the real OG, exactly. All right, cool. So I wanted some of these concepts like fresh in our brains, seeing that objects kind of have these properties and methods. There's fallback objects that we can use called a prototype. And then everything got a little bit more in line with some other languages. And we got this new syntax, this new class-based syntax. And yes, it's just syntactical sugar, but I actually like the syntax because I think it makes understanding OOP a little bit easier. And on Tuesday, when we get into like writing like detailed code to really understand encapsulation, abstraction, polymorphism, and what's the one I'm missing? Anybody know? What one am I missing? We just said it. Gotta do the reading chat. Inheritance, exactly. Cool. So when we come back on Tuesday and we're really grappling with those topics and we're really mucking around in the code, this class-based syntax is actually going to make, I think, a little bit more readable, a little bit more digestible. If you come from a different language, it's going to make it a little bit easier to see, like, all right, well, if I've come from like Python or Java, this kind of makes a little bit more sense to me. Cool. All right. And on Tuesday, we'll get into all of the details of classes. We'll get into all the details of kind of like why we use objects and the more details of like the nitty gritty behind the objects. Tonight's about understanding, top level. Tuesday, we'll get into it. Cool. Coming from Java, can confirm. All right. Let's go ahead and do an example that we've done before. We'll do this example, and then we are going to take a break. So in your starter code this evening, if you are new and you need the starter code, !Discord in our chat will give you access to our community, agree to the rules, and there's a follow along materials channel that has the starter code that you need for this evening. There's two files in there. One's kind of like a scratch pad if we need it later on, and one is the code for this, which is just a JavaScript file that's already hooked up for you. So if we go ahead and look at that code, there's a JavaScript file. Ooh, this is the wrong one. And it says create an espresso machine constructor that makes machines with 4 properties and 3 methods. And I actually want you to make a class, not necessarily just a straight constructor function. So I want you to take 4 minutes, a quick 4 minutes. And in those quick 4 minutes, you're going to build me out an espresso machine, all right? An espresso machine that has 4 properties. Actually, we're going to do 3 minutes. This is a lightning round, folks. You've done this before. What? Oh, because I typed in 3 p.m., so it went to that number. So we're put 3 minutes. This is a lightning round, and then we're going to take our break because we're at the top of the hour. So 3 minutes on the clock, starting now. Give me a class that has a constructor and 4 properties and 3 methods. All right, 3 minutes starting now. Boom. You can do this. Dig deep. If you're new, welcome. Had a lot of folks join this evening. Glad you're here. We're just dusting off the cobwebs. We're getting familiar with the stuff we've come over before. And then we're going to take a break because we like to stay healthy. We're in this for the long haul for our entire career. When we come back from break, we're getting into OOP, baby. We're looking for a class, and the class can have a constructor method or constructor function. There you go. You wanted to see it on the screen. There you go. Boom. No, use this class-based syntax here, Tone. Can't decide properties. Yeah, it's the code's not the hard part here. The hard part is like, what do I want it to have? What do I want it to do? I got you, Miriam. I knew what you were saying. Please, sir. I got you. I knew what you're. We're here. I got that. minute 30, and then we're gonna go over it together, and we're gonna take our break. And when we come back, OOP. So excited. Hey Leon, I'm from Morocco. Is OOP in JS the reason why TypeScript was invented? Thank you for everything in advance and keep up the good work. Hey Chaos Mode, thank you for being here. Not necessarily why it was made. There's a lot of like things that JavaScript is kind of funky on. Type checking and all this other like accessory things that TypeScript tries to make it a little bit more conventional, a little bit easier, a little bit more rules going on, and kind of clear up some of the things that are kind of just out in the open. And so TypeScript can actually clean up your code a lot. We're actually going to touch a little bit on it at the end of program. I've been like doubling down on it. A lot of my code I've been writing is in TypeScript, but yeah, not necessarily strictly just OOP, but kind of like trying to clean up the language a little bit more. Add things to it that might be a little bit missing or things that can make it better. I can't think of other properties, but I'm done. Let's go. How's the work music? Was it choppy? Was it okay? In the last stream we had some trouble. Ooh, we got some duns coming in. Dunzos. Woo. Googled how to make espresso. Love it. I'm gonna need all your properties. Music is perfect. All right, cool. I'm gonna need all your properties and all your methods. Let's get into it. Welcome back. Come on back. Let's go through this together. All right. Let's go ahead and do our class syntax. We're going to do espresso machine, right? And let me chill the music here. Espresso machine. Let's go ahead and create our constructor. Cool. And then let's go ahead and just set up creating a new class. So we're going to say let Gaja equal new, and we're going to say espresso machine, and we're going to pass in our values. Cool. So here we have kind of like the normal setup. All right, we have the normal setup here. Just like we saw in our previous example, right? We're going to create a new object using the espresso machine class, all right? And we need to pass in some values. So what are some properties that our constructor have? Like we saw with the car, we have make, model, color, doors. What are some of the properties that we should have on this constructor? What did you all come up with? Oh, I like the kind of the stopwatch way of going about it. Kind of like the color, the brand, the size. I like that. So let's do it. This dot color equals color. Cool. Ooh. All right. God dang it. Sorry, I didn't mean to take the Lord's name in vain. I apologize. All right. This dot model, and we'll say model, and we can also probably give it like a make too, right? Let's do make add model. Cool. And then what's the last property here? What did y'all do? What's a number of wands, number of heads, foam, bean type, price tag. Oh, I actually like price, because these get expensive. These get expensive. All right, let's go ahead and do this dot price. Cool, and we'll do price. Now, there's something missing here. What am I missing as part of this constructor? What am I missing? Chat, what am I missing as part of this constructor? Yeah, the parameters are missing. So let's go ahead and do color, make, model, and price. Cool. What were the methods that you created, right? Remember, we have our parameters going in. Now we have our methods. What are the methods that you made? Clean this machine. What were some of the methods? Start. Turn on. Steam. Ooh. Drink ready. That's a good one. I like that. How many methods do we need? We need 3. Pull shot. Oh, somebody knows what they're talking about. Brew. Grind, brew, done. Oh, I like it. Well, the interesting thing about like grinding, I guess maybe we could have had like a parameter for whether or not they had a grinder or not built into it. All right, let's go ahead and let's do start, stop, and steam. I like that. Start, stop, and steam. My brain just goes wild sometimes, especially when I'm having fun. Like when class is fun, my brain just like all these like weird things happen in my brain. So I just had like the Spice Girls song get stuck in my head. Stop right there, wait another minute, with a gentle touch. So that went into my brain. And then I was thinking like, oh, like dope music from back in the day. I was just talking about somebody that I had met in person. So I'm from Philly, and like for like the really fancy, like if you're gonna go like on like a good school trip, like normally like the school field trip that you wait all year for is to go to the aquarium that's in New Jersey, but there's an aquarium that is in Baltimore that's dope. And so like your like 8th grade trip, maybe if you're in Philly, like that's where you would go. And so we went to the Baltimore Aquarium in 8th grade, and I was lucky enough to go to the Cheesecake Factory after. And guess who was at the Cheesecake Factory? I think I might have told this to some of you before. Guess who's at the Cheesecake Factory? Cisco. Cisco, Thong Song. Thong, da thong, 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 was at the Cheesecake Factory chopping it up. Chopping it up. The dragon. Yeah. It's probably one of my favorite celebrity encounters. That's it. You go to Baltimore, you see people. All right. Start. I can see the feedback. Leon, your tangents are too much. All right. Start. Let's just do a console log to make this simple. Starting to make espresso. Stop. Sol.log. Turning off. And Steam. We can just put a console log here that says like building Steam. Because I guess you need like your Steam. We'll talk about Steam later on. Yes, Mashi. How you doing? You heard her? That's pretty cool. All right. So here we go. We have our espresso machine class with a constructor and 3 methods. And we go ahead and create that new object using the class. And now we have a lovely new espresso machine. Cool. Show us the dog. I just can't give you all the goods. I can't give you all the goods. You know that we have a dog camp set up. You know that's coming. You know next week it's popping off. Next week is going to be wild. And you get to see the machine live on the machine cam. I got some dope stuff behind the green screen, folks. Can't wait. She can't wait either. All right. If we wanted to get the values off of this, so let's go ahead and open this in the browser. And let's go ahead and open up the inspector. And let's go ahead and ask for it. Oop. Did I run the right one? Let's see. I opened up the wrong HTML file. I'm sorry, folks. She's popping off. I don't know what it is. There we go. All right. If we ask for the Gaja espresso machine, we get an espresso machine class back. She's like, I want to be on cam. I want to be on cam. Let me in. Let me put me on stream. She wants more dot notation. So we see that when we use the name of the object, we get the class back. We can see that there's a color property, a make property, a model property, a price property, but there's a problem. There's a problem. Why are we getting undefined for all of these? Why are we getting undefined? You ducked up. Let's go back and take a look. We never passed in any values, right? We didn't pass in any arguments. Let's add in our arguments. Let's add in our color, make, model, price. So color, they have a nice, so with the classic pro model, they got like this beautiful red, beautiful red. Make is going to be, Gaja. The model, we're going for the classic pro, folks. Classic pro. And then the price. Anybody know the price on the Gaja Classic Pro? Anybody into espresso? Too much. It's the entry level prosumer espresso machine. That's all we're gonna say. Not used, but like discounted, you get it for like 400, anywhere from like between 400 and 500. So let's say we found a deal. Let's say we found it anywhere between 400 and 600, depending on like where it's fluctuating. But let's say we found a deal and we got it for 400. Cool. There we go. So now we got our new espresso machine. It's going to be red. It's going to be a Gaja. It's going to be a classic pro, and it's going to be $400 in price. If we save this and we go back and we refresh and we ask for it back, you can see now we got our properties. And we should also have access to our methods. Boom, starting to make espresso. Cool. Alrighty, folks. Kev, thank you for the hydration. Cheers to you. Alrighty, folks. We're going to take our break. We're going to take our break. Top of the hour. Of course, we always take a break. We're going to put 5 minutes. 5 minutes on the clock. When we come back, let's leave Bring It On up here. For anybody that like checks in on the stream. There you go. You know what we're talking about here. Worldwide Cheer Smack. They really tried to bring it back, but they didn't go with a good cast. I mean, the cast wasn't bad. It just wasn't. It's not what we came to expect. All right. 5 minutes on the clock, folks. Please, if you're able to, get up, hydrate. Relax your hands. Give them a good stretch. And I'll see you all back here in 5 minutes. Can I go back to the code? Absolutely. Devalco, I love those skits. The best one is when they are all eating the cake and nobody told Conan that they had cake. All the Jordan skits are hilarious, especially the one where they come in late on the scooter. Serious question, can we see Machi now? No, I'm not giving you all the goods. I know what you want. You got to come back next week. Next week is going to be, can't wait for next week. But you got to come back. You got to come back, that's it. I can't give you the goods. I know you want it too much. Bilal, you made the cookies? That's dope. Can you put a picture in Discord? I want to see how they came out. What happened to the... Oh, I forgot about that, Bill Gates. I will do the Pokemon draw live on Remo. So we'll do the live drawing on Remo. Thank you for that, Bill Gates. I forgot about it. You liked when they reorganized their office. That was a good one. Sunday candy. Let's see. What's the other one? I always forget the name of the other song. Good Ass Intro is actually my favorite song on it, and then Cocoa Butter Kisses. Yeah, and then my favorite Chance song of all time is Sunday Candy. I need to try out a vegan recipe to give you a few. After you decorate them, I just want to see like how the shape came out. Yeah, it'd be pretty cool. Yeah, a lot of sugar has some weird stuff in it, like bone char. Yeah. I want a Leon Pop figure. I would play to have a Leon toy in front of me, so they can give me. Yeah, we just print out little Leons as as your rubber duckies. That's hilarious. Yeah, I agree, Nux. Made some chickpea curry. Hey, let's go. That sounds great. I missed the hydrate and bits. Oh, BB Tone, thank you for the 100 bits. I'm so sorry. Cheers to you with the hydration. For some reason, I'm not hearing them on my end. It's funky, folks. I apologize. But thank you for the bits. Cheers to you. Thank you for the hydration. "3D print rubber duckies" as a community goal. I think that'd be funny. Yeah. I would love to be able to send everyone a rubber ducky. The international shipping has been an interesting thing to figure out as I'm sending all the thank you cards and the Pokemon cards. It's not as expensive as I thought it would be, but it's still a little weird. That would be really rubbery. Somebody can give me like, I wonder if somebody drop ships rubber duckies. That'd be funny. Wonder Dev Ducky be dope. Yeah, I think that'd be pretty cool. Add that to the next merch drop. That'd be really fun. Leon figurine. All right. Yeah, Cutter, that sounds dope. Send them on over on Discord. AliExpress does. I think that's cool. All right, folks, come on back from the break. Let's go. Come on back. Let's vibe out for a second. All right. I'm all about the 3D printing these days, so I'm down to like my weekend, like my Sunday after office hours is gonna be built just 3D printing my butt off. I just love it. Ugh. Look at it. It's so cool. Like the idea that like if you're like a kid that has this like in your room, you can make whatever you want. It's so wild. And there's a company that was on Shark Tank. I think it was what's the domain? I think it's make.toys was the domain, they're licensing real characters for 3D models. So they have like Batman and Superman and like real like characters that you can 3D print with like a printer, and then like have any toy that you want. Like that's so cool. This blows my mind. I would have been so stoked to be able to like print my own toys and make whatever I want and like get into engineering. Oh, can't wait. That's so dope. Anyway, 3D printing is the future. Alrighty. Let's get into it, folks. Welcome back. Hope you had a good break. Hope you're able to get a little stretch, a little relaxation, a little less eye strain. We got some fun stuff to get into. All right. So I asked y'all to watch the video. Because when I see this like GIF, I hear it. You know, like how you see some GIFs and you just hear it? I hear this GIF. I look at it, I can hear it. I don't know what I'm gonna look that up after class. I don't know what that phenomenon is, but I can hear Cardi. Like I can hear her in my head. I know it's a GIF, but I can hear her. And so I wanted Cardi in your brain, because it's what I ask myself whenever I learn new things. Because you can get through a whole book. You can get through like this whole cheeky book and at the end be like, all right, I know what objects are. I know how to like build classes. I like know how to do all this stuff. But what was the like I just felt like when I was first learning how to code, it's something that would scream like internally all the time. Like, but why? What was the reason? Like, why do I need objects? Why do I need a freaking factory? Like, why does this, any of this like matter? What was the reason? And I would just say it over and over and over and over and over again. And nobody ever talks about it. Like, there are some blog posts where it's like at the end is like a small clip, right? At the end, it's like, oh, and this is why you use it. I'm just like, so you made me read this whole thing, this whole book, and I still don't understand like why? And so I wanted this to be like, I think we need like a Cardi emote or something like that. Because like, why is what like I want to spend time talking about tonight. Like, why do we use objects? Why is like object-oriented programming a thing? Like, what is encapsulation? Like, what is the reason why we use it? What is abstraction? What is the reason why we use it? And if we can walk away tonight having a good feeling about encapsulation, a somewhat good feeling about abstraction, and not really so much understanding like the nerdy like academic understanding, but like why it might be important, like what it might bring to our code and the code that we would write, we have achieved our goal for this evening. And so, like I said, we're not getting so much into the nitty gritty of the code and like real full examples, but just really trying to walk away with like why is OOP a thing? Why is it such like an important thing for a lot of folks? And like, what is encapsulation, but why? Why do we need this concept? And abstraction, why do we need this concept? Okay. All right. So here's a question I want you to think about. As our code base gets larger and more folks join the team, can we keep our code organized? Right? So as our code gets larger and larger and more folks join, can we stay organized? Like right now, with the skills that we have, the answer the folx says flat no. Probably not. Like if I added you all to a Git repo right now and said build this thing together, it's gonna be the wild wild west. Right? It's going to be the wild, wild west. There's going to be functions everywhere. There's going to be variables everywhere. It's going to be a bunch of hot, chunky vomit. Exactly. So if we were to right now build a product together, would it be easy to add new features and functionality? Probably not. Could another developer like look at our code and really like if it was all 300 of us working on one code base right now, could another developer like come and look at our code? It would just be like memes. It would just be like memes. That's all it'd be, right? like they might understand pieces of it, right? Like they might be able to like, all right, this function, I kind of understand what this function's doing. I kind of get at this idea what like this other person was doing. But could they make changes to this like big code base without losing sleep at night? Like if we're all working on it together and there's just like a bunch of functions everywhere and a bunch of like variables everywhere. Probably not. Alyssa, hey, thank you for the gifted sub, the cat. Probably not. And I think for a lot of you, if you really think about your code right now, like don't even worry about like this like theoretical, like us working together, but like your own code right now, is it easy for you to add features and functionality? Can other people look at it, understand what's going on? Would somebody else be able to look at your code and make changes and be comfortable that when they made a change, it didn't break something else? Like, could they like make like a change like to like a variable or a function? Could they like make changes? Yes, would they be very disappointed in me? I don't know. And so the reason why these questions come up is because when a lot of developers first start, it's kind of like a hard no on all of these questions. And they're really important questions for us to think about as we start writing code, and as our code gets a little bit more complex, it gets a little bit more serious. As we start trying to work with each other, these kind of questions aren't a given. So, what if there was a system, nay, a paradigm, nay, a set of rules that we could agree upon that would add structure to our code? It's not changing the code necessarily. It's just adding structure to our code. What if we had a system, a paradigm that made it easy for us to add new stuff, that made it easy to see what was already coded? And what if we could make changes and not lose sleep when we made those changes? What if this thing existed? What if it existed? Well, it does exist, and it's OOP, baby. It exists. It's object-oriented programming. I'm going to show you how to do it. It's going to keep our code clean. It's going to make sure that we can make it easy to add new stuff, make it easier to read through what's already been coded, and we won't be afraid to make changes. Let's go. Object-oriented programming. Let's make it happen. Hey. Everybody. Nobody can see you. You can only see me. I can't see you, but you can be doing this. I'm doing it. You can't see it. Let's see some code. Let's see some code. Let's see some code. I will always put warnings now on the slide, just because a couple folks have asked for this. So you will always see the in yellow music and light warning before like heavy music or like flashing stuff happens. So I'll put that on any slide before that happens. All right. But yeah, it's object-oriented programming. All right, let's look at some code. Now, like I said, we're going to make some nerds angry tonight. We're going to look at some code because tonight's about trying to understand some key stuff, right? What is the reason? We want that Cardi B echoing in our brain. Let's look at some code. All right. Here is when most folks first start writing code. This is kind of what the nerd fight me, Leon. One-on-one nerd fighting. That I would watch that. One-on-one nerd fights. It's like a rap battle, but you just discuss like technical topics. I am down to do that. I think that'd be really fun. Like you both people like prepare. They have like bars ready to go, and they show up, and it's just like we're gonna talk about like polymorphism, and we just like, no, this is what it is. This is not what it is. All right. Here's what like a normal person's code kind of first looks like. let's say you are all now freelancing and you wanted to make some code that made it easy for you to calculate the profit that you would make on a new client, right? So here we have our hourly rate. We have the amount of hours we're going to work for that client or for that month. And then the rate that we're going to save for taxes. Once again, I'm not a tax professional. None of this is tax advice. We're just doing this as an example, right? So we have kind of like these variables. We have a function that calculates the profit. We are running that function and storing it in a variable. And then we are console logging that profit. So this is very like procedural, right? We're reading it from top to bottom. The variables get put into memory. The function declaration gets put into memory. We're running that function. We're storing it in a new variable, and then we're like putting that variable, into the console log to see the result, right? This is how most folks start writing their code. It's not wrong, and it's often really like remember, the first rule is make it work, right? But remember, we're trying to answer those kind of few questions here. With this type of code, right, is it easy to add new features and functionality? Let's take a look at it. So here I have added a new bit of functionality which calculates how much money to hold for your taxes. So we have profit, and now we've added like the ability to like hold for taxes. So chat, let's talk. Is it easy to add new features and functionality in like this kind of like procedural type of programming? You tell me. What do you think? If you say yes, say why. If you say no, say no. Tell me why. Why? A lot of folks are saying no. Why is it not easy to add new features and functionality? Tell me why. Oh, all y'all were. I don't know. I was guessing. Tony, you're a real one. I appreciate that. I don't know. I was guessing. Cool. Respect. Ooh, Wolfpack. I agree with Wolfpack. It's easy to add new stuff, but it introduces another problem. It's like hard to keep track of everything. Like, yeah, I added a new feature, right? But if we're building like a real application, I want it to build a real application that other people could use that would keep track of their business as a freelancer, right? If I wanted to build like a real application for freelancers, this is going to get wild real quick, right? It's going to get wild real quick. Like, yeah, maybe we can add some functionality, right? But it's going to be hard. It's going to get funky. It's going to be hard if we keep adding functionality. It's going to keep growing. It's going to keep growing. And is order here? Do we have like order? Like, are we able to like jump in and like figure out what features are already there and what features we're going to add? Chaos, all caps. No, it's hard. And this is two bits of functionality. This is 2 bits of functionality. Nah, it already looks wild, right? Like, this is just with 2 bits of functionality. Can another developer look at my code? What? Divi with the 1500 bits. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this, Leon. Your course has helped me so much. Hey, I'm glad it's helping you. Thank you for the bits. Thank you for being here. That's awesome. Thank you. Appreciate the kind words. All right. Can another developer look at my code and understand what's happening? So let's look at why. Let's put it like you're a new developer. Like, you're a developer. I just showed you this code. Can you quickly look at this and understand everything that's happening? Yes, but it might take some time. How it all works together. Yep, that's true. Like, if you sat there and you like went through line by line, you could probably figure it out, right? But is it clear? Like, is it clear that like the variables are staying consistent? Are the parameters staying consistent? Like, are things being consistent? Are you able to like peer into the code? Are you seeing it? Are you able to like look through and see and know that everything is good? Like, is everything in order? Can you quickly glance at this and like know whether or not it's going to work? Not really. Not really. This is just 2 bits of functionality, and we're all like, maybe I could probably figure it out, but I don't like it. It looks pretty wild. And this 2 bits of functionality. How are we gonna build a massive app that a whole team is working on, right? So it's kind of like, I don't know. Can you make changes without losing sleep? Would you be afraid? Did I hold on? Ready? Hold on. Here we are. Let's look here. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Did I change anything? If I made a change to tax rate, would that break anything? Is that clear? No idea, right? Like, is it clear that like if I change some value, is it clear like what's happening inside of this function won't be influenced by that change? Probably, maybe, I don't know. Like, so here's the thing. Could we get by? Could we get by writing our code procedurally like this? Like, could we make it work? Yeah. We could get by. But does it feel good? Does it feel good? Like, would we want to maintain this code? Would we want to work on a with a team that just wrote their code in this way? Nah, it doesn't feel good. It feels like vomit, right? It feels like pretty bad vomit. So let's start talking about how maybe we can start cleaning some stuff up. The first thing that I kind of, when I'm looking at this code that I'm noticing, is that there's kind of 2 things going on. And it'd be really helpful if these 2 things were able to kind of like talk to each other or be together in some way, shape, or form. Right? So we're seeing data, right? We had these variables, hourly rate, hours, tax rate. So we had this data, right? We had this data that we were like kind of keeping track of. And we had some functionality that we were trying to keep track of, right? So we had some data, just like the variables. We had some functionality like calculating the profit and then holding taxes. And it'd be really cool if we could kind of like combine our data and our functionality, right? It'd be really good if we could like fuse our data and functionality together so that it was clean, right? So here I have fused, right? I have fused our data and our functionality together. And it's just the object syntax that we've seen, right? It's just the object that we've seen before. We have a serious business person object here, right? Serious business person object here. And we have hourly rate, hours, tax rate, all in one entity. We have the calculate profit all in one entity. We've gotten rid of a bunch of those like really messy parameters that were everywhere, right? And now we know that like hourly rate, hours, and tax rate aren't some variables up here in the ether, right? These variables or these properties are talking to the ones that are here on the object. Right? So we went from kind of like something that was like messy and kind of like all over the place to like one fusion of data, right? One fusion of data and functionality into one thing. So now I'm going to ask you, if you wanted to add a new bit of data, some new features, do you know where to go and add that data? Do you know where to go and add that functionality? Do you? Yeah. If I'm talking about a serious business person, MacTay, thank you for the hydration. Cheers to you. MacTay with the double hydration. I'm a thirsty boy. Let's go. Thank you for the double hydration, Brian. Right? If I wanted to add some new features or functionality to my serious business person, do I have to go chasing through a JavaScript file, or do I know where to go? I would just go and modify this object, right? Look, if I wanted to, like, a serious business person needs to know how to calculate profit. A serious business person needs to know how to calculate taxes held. And you know what? I'm not worried anymore, because this hourly rate and this hourly rate, I know that they're both the same. I know that this hours and this hours is the same. I'm not worried that there's some variable somewhere that's gonna mess things up. It's all fused together. Data, functionality in one. Grant, thank you for the 100 bits. That is honestly beautiful. Ugh. I agree. Don't go chasing serious business persons. Why isn't that constantly on, you monster? It's a nerd trap. This is all of this is nerd traps. There's so many little things here that are nerd traps. Debalik, I hate to break it to you. Hate to break it to you. You fell for the nerd trap. Can you make a Christmas card having Machi and Simba do the fusion pose? I will try my hardest. If you remind me come Christmas next time, I will try. Why would you use objects instead of classes in this example? Because this is way more readable. And I only have so much space. Nerd trap. Nerd trap. Highlighted a nerd trap. Right? So this how does this feel? Chat, how does this feel? Does this feel better? Does this feel better than this? Does it feel better? No, honestly, in chat, yes or no? Ugh, a million times yes. Cool. So let's go ahead and let's ask ourselves some of these questions. Is it easy to add new functionalities and features when we've combined our data and functionality? I think so, yeah. I think I can just keep adding new bits of functionality here in this object, and I would feel pretty comfortable that it's all related to the serious business person. I'd feel comfortable that it's all using the same data, and I'm not chasing... Don't go chasing waterfalls. Like, I know I'm not chasing waterfalls all over the place to find the data I care about. It's all nice, neat, and contained. Can another developer look at my code and understand what's happening? Chat, what do you think? Can another developer look at this and understand that this is a serious business person that needs to calculate profit? Yeah. And... can I make changes without losing sleep at night? Like, can I make a change to my hourly rate and know that my profit and taxes held wouldn't, like, mess up? Like, it's all there, right? Am I worried? Here's another big question. Am I worried about some other developer coming into my code base and setting a global variable called hourly rate? Like, am I worried about some other developer setting a global variable over there? Not really. Right? Like, if I set it all up right, I mean, they could do it, but it wouldn't. If they did it, it might not really affect me, right? It wouldn't affect me. They could do it, but I can go to sleep and be fine. Right? The core, exactly, Jeezy. The core of the program stays safe. So, if we kind of keep coming back to these couple of questions, it can start to see some reasonings why like these objects might be useful, and why this like fusion of data and functionality into one object, like this idea like of taking all that data that was floating around, all this functionality that was around, right, and putting it into one entity, right? Taking that data that was floating around, the variables, the functionality, those functions that were putting it into one entity, that fusion. Encapsulation, baby. That's what it is. It's encapsulation. You just learned about encapsulation. You didn't know it, but you did. It's encapsulation. Should have got my hat. Put the hat up at the end, right? You didn't know it, but you were learning encapsulation. Science. Computer science. That's what they happen to encapsulation. I'm getting down and I ain't getting back up. I feel you, Metagon. Let's go. Encapsulation. Hey, here we go. He's out. He's free. Bobby's free. Bobby's just happy. He's like, you can encapsulate all you want. I'm free. Cool. So, encapsulation is the process of storing. Oh, I gotta get. Hold on. Hold on. All right. Encapsulation is the process of storing our functions or methods with their associated data into like one thing. That's it. That's all it is. That's it. That's all it is. That's all it is. It's just like taking all that data that was floating around, all that functionality that was floating around, putting it into one thing. And we can see why putting it into one thing is so impactful, why it's so helpful, right? It's so helpful because it makes it easy to add new features and functionality. You're not fishing through your code base to add a new bit of functionality, right? You're not, right? What was that? What was the asterisk? Well, it's just that when nerds see these very simple definitions, they got to push their glasses up, pull out their fancy textbooks, and we'll be like, well, in this where instance, it's not. No. That's it. That's it. We have this data that was floating around, this functionality that was floating around, and it was really painful to procedurally work through our programs if we wanted to build stuff that had lots of features and functionality. This idea that it's like all over the place makes it so that we can't add new stuff. It makes it so that we're really scared to like make changes at the end of the day, right? And so that's all it is. That's all it is. That's all it is. I liked somebody put a comment. I was like, I read all of Mark Hartle's book and in 40 minutes we did more. I appreciate it. That's how I felt. That's how I felt. Like when people talk about encapsulation, I'm like, why can't you just say you're putting stuff together? And then tell me why. Tell me why putting my data and my functionality together makes sense. Just tell me why. Tell me the reason. Tell me the reason why we needed to put that together, right? And now we have some good reasons. We know that it makes it easier to add new features. We know it enables us to sleep better at night because if somebody makes some change somewhere else in the code base, somebody creates a variable with the same name somewhere else in the code base, right? I know that it's not going to affect my object. It's not going to affect my little slice of heaven. You can do whatever you want, right? You can do whatever you want. It's not going to affect me. Yeah. Cool. All right. Let's look at this. We talked about this earlier. This is the Gaja Classic Pro. It's the entry-level prosumer espresso machine. It's kind of like the golden standard for entry-level espresso. But why? Tell me the reason why, Leon. Well, it's just great. It's a good. It can hit a good temperature. It doesn't cheap out with any of the parts. It's really robust. It'll handle lots of pulls. And I'm moving to Italy. That's what it is. We're sponsored. No, I wish. It's just a good entry level machine. Espresso under like $800, all said and done, is really hard to put together. Right? You need a good grinder and you need a good machine. So this is kind of like the golden standard for entry level machines at around $500. Right? Now, there's one really like glaring problem with this espresso machine. It heats the water for your espresso and it heats the water for steam for your milk. Right? It's a standard espresso machine. You can see that it has the milk frothing wand on the right-hand side. That wand is used to froth your milk, so that your milk has texture, right? So that you can do some fancy latte art with it, right? That's what that little wand does. This was a newer addition to the Classic Pro that wasn't there before, and it was a very welcomed addition. However, the wand sucks. It's a double hole steam wand. The pressure gets built up, but it just doesn't add the texture that you want out of your milk, right? It just sucks. It's a bad steam wand, and it's just not good. Tough to clean, exactly. I think Speedwagon's into espresso as well, right? No longer a sponsor. Oh no, Ma, we lost the sponsor. Could you imagine? There's like some rep from Gaja like in the chat being like, "Oh, this is the best thing ever." What? How dare that? No. Anyway, so the steam wand sucks, and so it's something to keep in mind, right? That the espresso machine is boiling water to build up steam, and that steam is used for two things. That steam goes through the portafilter to make your espresso, and that steam goes through the wand to add texture to the milk. I need to know if this critique is real. It is a very real critique. This is hands down the best espresso pour for the price, maybe outside of getting a refurbished, another similar pro consumer level refurbished machine. But off the rack, best espresso pour you're going to get for the money, but the steam wand does suck. So this machine boils water to put steam through two things. The steam through the portafilter, beautiful. Best espresso you're going to pull at the price. Steam going through this wand, hot, boiling garbage. So, what should the engineers do? They got a great machine. I didn't realize I was coming here for espresso machine reviews. Great machine. Separate them, update the wand. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Why wouldn't they update the boiler as well? Update the wand. Why am I not going to update the boiler? Is the boiler the problem? No, boiler works, right? We got the boiler is beautiful. It's making the best espresso we've ever heard. The boiler is making good steam. It's heating the water to the right point, right? Right. So what should the engineers do? Do they get rid of the water boiler? Probably not, right? Like they're probably not going to get rid of like the boiler that's working very well. They're going to focus on the problem that is that double hold steam wand, right? And when they're first trying to like fix this problem, like they're like, all right, we've made the best espresso machine for the price. The espresso is perfect. It's beautiful. This wand is too much at an angle. The double slot is a problem. Are the engineers even concerned about the water boiling? Or are they just concerned about that one metal piece that's broken? Yeah, remake the wand. Are the engineers worried about the LEDs on the outside of the espresso machine? Are they worried about the beautiful red metallic finish? Do they care about any of that stuff except for the thing that's broken? Just the wand. The wand's all you gotta fix. Come out with the Classic Pro 2 and I'll buy it. I will. Fix the wand. So the engineers aren't concerned about the boiler. The engineers aren't concerned about the beautiful LEDs or the beautiful red metallic finish. They can kind of like not worry about any of that stuff and just worry about the piece that's broken. Yeah? That makes sense? Cool. So we could say that the water boiling is abstracted from this conversation, right? It's like it's not even something we have to worry about. That's a given. We know that we're going to get great steam from that boiler. We don't need to worry about that boiling of water. It's doing its job, right? Not Leon, we need to do a whole rewrite. It's doing its job. The water's boiling. It's creating steam. It's doing its job. I don't care about that. That's abstracted from my concern right now. I'm just going to focus on the wand that has the actual problem. Maybe if we changed it from the shitty 2-hole model to just a singular model that gave me a little bit more control, it would work. So I'm going to abstract out the water boiling. I'm going to extract out the beautiful finish. I'm going to extract out the buttons. That's not what I'm worried about right now. I'm worried about fixing the wand that is broken. Let's look at some code. All right. This is like I said, creative freedom here tonight. Creative freedom to let this concept sink in here. Creative freedom. This is garbage code. I'm just gonna let you know right now. Don't worry about this. Don't worry about the code. Worry about the concept. We're making some nerds angry tonight. All right. Here is an agency contractor constructor. Agency contractor constructor. The cool thing is now I can put in an hourly rate for the contractor. I can put in the number of hours they're going to work, right? And I can pass in the amount they're going to hold for their taxes, right? So going into hourly rate, going into hours, going into tax rate, right? Now, every single contractor that comes out of this constructor function is going to have a calculate profit function and method and an invoicing client method. But this calculator I made a mistake. I put this calculator on our agency's website. I put this calculator on our agency's website because I wanted you to be able to calculate how much money you were going to make. Right? I want you to be able to calculate how much money you were going to make. But what went wrong here? What could happen here? What could happen here? What might be a problem of the way this is operating right now? Because if we run, like, if I create me as a contractor, I can see how much I'm going to invoice the client. I can see the hourly rate and I can see the profit. What could be the Izzy? Yeah, I like what Izzy said. Izzy said I can see all your monies. So, what's the thing I've always told you about freelancing? What's the most important question? What's the most important question? Exactly, Blah. What is your budget? What is your ballpark budget? What is your ballpark budget? My hourly rate does nothing to help you. It doesn't tell you what I can get done for you at that. But like hourly rate's great, but it's not going to tell you anything. I could be slow as molasses and charge you a lot of money. Or I could go as fast as they went and charge you a lot of money. I want to know what your ballpark budget is. And so some clients don't like that. And they came to our calculator. And what were they able to see very quickly? What were they able to see? Some stuff I didn't want them to be able to see. What were they able to see? They were able to see how much my hourly rate was. Oh, it's out the bag now. Shit, this is actually I never thought about that. That's actually my hourly rate. Now all my clients know my hourly rate. And the client could see how much money I was making off of them. Rip. There goes that client. Remember, like, you ain't worth 26 grand. I'm like, yes, I am. Baby. I'm worth it. And I know I am. All right? But I don't need you to see it. I don't need you to see it. I really wish I had abstracted this away. I really wish I was only showing you the essential stuff. I really wish you only saw your invoice, but not the other stuff. Right? Because that would just make my life a lot easier. A lot easier. Cool. So let's look at some bad code here. Why is this better, chat? Why is this better? Let me get my big head out the way. Let me get the warning here. Yeah, I need you for 2 hours to talk hair care. I got you. Anytime. I got you. Ooh, we got some private stuff going on now, right? Now client rolls up. They type in Leon.hourly rate. They ain't getting shit. They ain't getting anything. It's wrapped. They can't get it. They try to see the profit. They ain't getting no profit. Right? They ain't getting no profit. They ain't showing it to them. Right? Because look, let's see what we did here. We set profit. Sorry, we set rate. We set rate to a local variable. All right? It's a local variable now. Right? Right? It's not something that you can access, right? It's not coming out as part of the object. It's not part of the object. All right? It's not part of the object. That rate is no longer part of the object. It's not being bound with this. It's not part of the object. It's abstracted away. It's there if I need to use it inside of the agency contractor. But the look. It's there. Look, rate is being used, right? Rate can be used. Rate is being used inside my invoicing client function. The client is still getting the invoice. They're still getting the stuff that matters to them, right? They're still able to use the rate, right? They're still able to use the rate. I'm still able to use the rate, but my sneaky client can't see it, right? And if I wanted to, I could calculate profit some other way, but it's not tied to the object anymore, right? It's not bound with like the this or part of like the like a class if we had a class, right? So now we have some stuff that's private, that's being hidden, that's not being shown. It's still being used. Like look. Rate is being used inside of this invoicing client, right? Rate is still being used. I am still using rate. I was able to pass rate into the object. I am still using it, but my client does not have access to it. I've hidden it. I've abstracted it away from their view. Okay. This is really important. Like this concept is really important. This enables us to do some really important stuff. And yeah, this seems like a pretty like logical example. There's some stuff I don't want seen. There's some stuff I do want seen. Like that makes sense, right? The rate was passed in here, right? We passed it in when we created our object, right? We passed in 250. 250 went into hourly rate. I created a local variable called rate that is now 250. So I was able to use 250 inside of here. Right? I was able to use 250 in calculating profit if I wanted to, right? But my user only has access to invoice. They can only do Leon invoice client. That's the only thing that can run. It's the only thing they can see. They get their invoice, but there's no longer a way to get my rate out. I have hidden that from their view. Right? They try to access this. They can't get it. Okay. So keep that in mind. I don't need this to make a lot. I just want you to keep that idea in your head. So now my client can get their invoice, but they can't see my hourly rate. Okay. That's the big thing here. Don't worry about anything else. My client can now get their invoice, but they cannot see my hourly rate. I gave them a method, right? This method is bound to the object that comes out of the constructor, right? So that it's there. The invoice client method is there. The invoice client method is using rate, which is now a local variable. And so if they try doing like Leon.hourly rate, it just doesn't exist. It's not a thing. Cool. All right. So now my client can still get their invoice, right? But they can't see my hourly rate. Let's go back to the water boiling. That espresso machine had a lot of stuff, a lot of features, a lot of bits of functionality, a lot of things that it could do. We're going to take a break in a second. Had a lot of features, a lot of things that it could do, right? But when the wand was broken, did the engineers have to worry about anything other than the wand? Did they need access to the water boiler when they're trying to just to fix the wand, like the metal of the wand? Did they need access to the boiling of the water? No. Did they need to know the circuitry that was boiling the water? Did they need to know the temperature in which the boiling would turn off? No. That was all removed from them. Do I want my client to know my hourly rate? Do I personally want my client to know my hourly rate? Nope. Do I want them to be able to get an invoice though? Yeah. So I need to figure out how to like abstract away the hourly rate, but still be able to get them an invoice. If I am building real products like an espresso machine, I want to be able to have an engineer that really understands like the boiling of water, and maybe like a mechanical engineer that's really good at the wand, right? Maybe that's really good at the wand. And I don't want the engineer, like that machinist, to have to worry about like the circuitry that's causing the water to boil. Imagine if you were on the team, right? Imagine if you were on the team that was building this espresso machine. Do you need to know how to make the wand boil the water, make the LEDs work, the button? Like maybe there's somebody on the team that knows how to do all that stuff. But if we were on a team, right? If we were on a team and I wanted you to work on the wand, I wanted to work on the water boiling, I wanted somebody else to work on the buttons, do we want to be worried about the changes that each of those individuals will make? Will we be able to sleep at night if somebody makes a change somewhere else that breaks what we're working on? That's no sleep. That's not good code. So when it comes to object-oriented programming, we want to make sure that any complex or unnecessary details are hidden. If I'm just trying to fix the wand, I don't want to also be stressing over how the espresso machine boils water. I just want to be worried about fixing the wand. If I want to be able to invoice a client, I don't want to be worried that they can somehow figure out my hourly rate or how much I'm withholding from taxes. I only want the invoice to be viewable to them. Think about how important this concept is really going to be when we're working on a team. We can all work on different parts of the project without really even understanding or really thinking about all this complexity that's happening in the code base. I can just ask the water boiler, if I'm working on the wand that steams my milk, I can just ask for steam. I'm going to say, hey, water boiler, give me steam. Do I care how that steam was generated if I'm working on the wand? And Ron, thank you for the hydration. Cheers to you. Cheers. Thank you for the hydration. Right? If we're all working on a team to build an espresso machine and you are tasked with making the wand better, do I want you like going home at night thinking about like the circuitry to boil water? Yes or no? Put it in chat. Yes or no? Do I want you worried about that? Do I want you worried about that? No, I don't want you worried about that. Trust me, I won't. So this idea of making smaller, more manageable pieces of code, right? Like breaking things down into smaller, more manageable pieces and really kind of just doing stuff once. I already built the water boiler. The espresso pour can use the water boiler. The steam wand can use the water boiler. If I abstract out the boiling of water, I only have to ever really worry about building that once. And then all my other engineers can take advantage of that complexity, can take advantage of all that hard work, right? But not have to repeat what they've done. but still get the benefit of it. And in fact, they can say, just give me Steam. They don't care about how the Steam is made. They say, give me Steam. And the folks working on the wand can use it. And the folks working on the espresso pour can use it. But we have now made our code base smaller, made up of smaller, more manageable pieces. We've done stuff just once. We've made it easier for us to work with other members on our team. We've made it so that when we make changes, it might be just a little bit easier on our end. And we've also just learned about abstraction. That's what we did. We just learned about abstraction. We extracted the bullshit away. We got it out. We just learned about abstraction. We ain't done yet. We're gonna come back to this topic. We ain't done yet. We just hit that. We just knew with it. Okay. We just learned about it. I'm about to learn about it here. Alright. Frick yeah, take that, nerds. Alright. So abstraction, if we're trying to like consolidate what we just talked about. Abstraction enables us to hide details and just show essential stuff. So we don't care about how the water's being boiled. We just want steam. Right? Enables us to make simple, predictable, manageable pieces of code that do stuff and just reveal the things that we care about. Cool. That's it. So abstraction and encapsulation are really like very closely tied to each other. If we're making objects, right, to keep our data and functionality together, there's going to come a point to where we want to make it so, we want to make it so that as our code base gets larger and larger, right, as our code base gets larger and larger, we are going to have more and more complexity, right? We're going to have more and more complexity in our code. We're often going to want to be able to use pieces of our code without really worrying about what's inside. We just expect something to come out, right? We just expect something to come out, right? We don't want to be chasing a code around our code base. Like if we just had a very procedural code base where variables were everywhere and functions were everywhere, that would get a hot mess as we added more code. So encapsulation and abstraction are two of the four pillars of object-oriented code, a paradigm, a system for organizing our code, right? That makes it so that we can work more efficiently together. Makes it so that we can sleep easier at night knowing that we didn't mess things up when we go to make changes. Okay? So let's just quickly talk about encapsulation, give the definition again. The process of storing functions and their associated data into one thing. That's encapsulation, right? But why? What is the reason? Why is this encapsulation a thing? Why? What is the reason? Right? Chat, what is the reason? When we use encapsulation, when we fuse our data and functionality together, we saw that it made it easier to add new stuff. We knew where to go. If we were talking about a serious business person, we knew where to go. It made it easier to read through our code. If we wanted to talk about like just serious business people, we didn't have to go through all these different pages of other stuff, right? We knew where to go to make changes. And when you made changes, you knew that you weren't messing up some parameters or anything. You knew that everything was right there. So if somebody else, somewhere else in the code base, used the same variable name, same function name, it didn't mess up your serious business person, right? That's the beauty of encapsulation. Abstraction is just about hiding details and showing the essentials. You hide away all the complexity and just reveal the things you care about. I wanted you to be able to have an invoice. I didn't want you to be able to see my rate. I wanted you to be able to have Steam for both the wand and the espresso pour, but I didn't want you to actually have to worry about how that steam was made. I've abstracted out the steam. I've abstracted out the hourly rate, and you just get to use the bits that matter to you, and you can build your project, right? So, but why? What is this abstraction? Why? What is the reason that we deal with abstraction? It just makes smaller, more manageable bits of code. That's all abstraction helps us with. It enables you to split your complexity of your software project into manageable parts. We can abstract out the boiling of water and just get steam out. We can abstract out my hourly rate and still generate an invoice. And as our code grows, as our projects get bigger, being able to hide away complexity and just have very simple like interfaces and get really simple data out is going to be really important, especially as we work with other engineers. So these are really hard concepts. Understanding encapsulation, abstraction, getting into inheritance, and getting into polymorphism. These are things that trip a lot of people up. Things that don't really kind of make a whole lot of sense. So I hope that tonight, by taking an approach that was why, right, you can at least start to formulate some opinions as to why encapsulation would be important and why abstraction would be important. That's all I care about. Like, do you understand like why we might use encapsulation and why we might use abstraction? Don't let the words scare you, right? Keeping our data and functionality together and making sure we don't have to worry about complexity as we build out our programs. That's all we're worried about. If you can understand the why, when we come back on Tuesday, we'll get into the how. We're going to see real big code examples with full-on classes that show how encapsulation and show how abstraction actually do the things that we said that they do. And then we're also going to hit that inheritance, and we're going to get to the weird one that is polymorphism. Cool. Nasty, I had 2 minutes to the timer. I don't have a timer. We're going right over to Remo. I'm sorry. No. Cool. Did tonight help you understand encapsulation a little bit better? Maybe abstraction a little bit better? Yeah. A million times more, I'll take it. I think so. Yes. Cool. Definitely come back and replay this, even if it's just for the music, if you need a little bit of refresher. But like I said, on Sunday during our office hours, we're going to be going over these topics again. And then on Tuesday, we're going to go deeper with more code examples. Cool. All right. Inheritance polymorphism is next class. We still have about 35 minutes left of class time. And I want us to use that 35 minutes to work together. And the room will be open for as long as you want it. So if you want to keep working for more than 35 minutes, you can. But the room is going to be open. So I would like us to start. Indifferent. I would like for us to start doing group work together, working as a team and practicing the skills that we're going to need on the job. So we're going to be dedicating some time during class to actually work together. And so on these nights, we won't do raids. We're just going to end the stream. And I'm going to ask everyone to join us on Remo. Belle, hey, thank you for the hydration. Cheers to you. All right. So here's the link. But before you go to the link, let me show you what we're doing here. We are doing the rite of passage. I want for you, absolutely indifferent. Everyone that's here, I want you on Remo. If you are here, come over to Remo. Work in a group with real people on a real project. If you don't have video or cam, that's okay. There's chat, right? We're going to work on the rite of passage that is for any boot camper, and that's to work on the tic-tac-toe. Please don't put this in your portfolio, but work on it. It helps you think through some really interesting ideas. So I want you to build tic-tac-toe. And I want you to get into a group of folks. There's going to be 6 people at your table. I want you all to talk about how you're going to write out the code for tic-tac-toe. It's way more important for you to talk through how you're going to write the code than it is going to be for you to like actually write it. So talk through it. Are you going to do it procedurally? Are you going to have variables everywhere, functions everywhere? May you take a stab at doing it object-oriented? Are you going to maybe have a board object or a game object even, right? The groups will be random. In the future, you'll be working in your houses. In the future, you'll be working with dedicated folks. Tonight's just for us to get used to the platform. Tic-tac-toe battle royale, that'd be dope, right? So yeah, tonight you're going to start by talking. And then, yes, you are going to start coding. This will be part of your homework that'll be due Thursday. So we are going to go over to Remo, right? And you're going to try and get tic-tac-toe to work. If you get tic-tac-toe to work, then I want you to think about how can I make it easier to add new stuff? How can I make it easier to read through what was already coded? How can I make it so that somebody else that came to my tic-tac-toe game would not be afraid to make changes? All right. If you need the link to Remo, it's ! Classroom. ! Classroom. We're going to be doing Remo a lot. ! Classroom will take you to the link for Remo. We are going to end stream here and go over to Remo. I'm going to give everybody 5 minutes to get over there. Get settled, get into a table, say hello, introduce yourself, right? Get over to Remo, and then I'll present on Remo, right? I'll present on Remo, and then you are going to start talking through tic-tac-toe and start building tic-tac-toe tonight. So I'm going to see you all on Remo, and I'm just going to end stream. We're not going to do a raid because I want you to not go to somebody like another stream. I want you to go right into Remo so you can start building. No raid tonight because we're going to go right into Remo to start coding. We still got a half an hour of class time. I want you to spend that half an hour meeting some folks in the community, talking through how you're going to build tic-tac-toe and getting a start. All right, everyone, I'm going to end stream. You can stay just for the 30 minutes if you want, just for the 30 minutes of class time. That's totally fine. If you have to leave after that, please be my guest. I just want you to meet some folks. I want you to work on some code, and I will see you all over there. So I'll give it 5 minutes or so, and then I'm going to present. All right, everyone, have a great night. See you on Remo. No raid.